A big hello and welcome. It's Kate from Zen Stitching, and I'm super excited that you're here with me today to join the conversation that I'm having with Ruth Woods, who is one of our amazing Making Zen artists. She's also the creative force behind Craft School Oz. Ruth, hello and welcome. It's so nice to have you back.
Thank you, Kate. Yes, it's lovely to be back. I always like talking to you.
Yes, I know we've already had such a good chat and we haven't even pressed the record button yet. And one of the reasons why I think I enjoy talking to you so much, Ruth, is because you are so creative and your creativity kind of spans across so many different realms in the textile world. I mean, even looking behind you, there's so many different creative
Right.
techniques.
Yes.
Yes. And I would just love to know what is lighting you up at the moment, given that you do love to work with so many different techniques.
Well, I think as well as textiles, people who know me know that I also work with plant fiber. So I tend to get very distracted and a little bit kind of like, oh, I'll do this. Oh, I should do this and have too many ideas. And I know a lot of people will be able to relate to that. But at the moment, I'm working on a second slow stitch course, which so I'm trying things out and I'm doing some writing with my stitching. So I've never really done that before. So I kind of experimented with doing different stitches and the words. So that was one thing that I was working on. And then I've been experimenting with indigo dyeing and natural dyes too, which I just love. Once I get out on my deck, and if it's not too hot over the summer, then I just could play there all day.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Indigo really is one of the most magic of the dyes, isn't it?
Mm,
Mm.
it certainly is. And I've been trying some new techniques too. So
Yes.
yeah, that's been fun.
Well, I've been checking you out on Instagram and just, oh my goodness, just absolutely delighted by all of the different things that you're working on. And I think I see some of them in your background behind you
Yeah.
too, with the indigo and the different
Yes.
things. Would you like to talk to us about some of those things that you've been?
Okay. So here, this is a stitched one, which is something I hadn't done before, and it's so simple. So it's just like a running stitch, and you pull it really tight, and you can do it in different shapes. So this one here is the same, but it's in different stitches. It's in a different shape, but it's much smaller. So that's kind of interesting. So you can vary the look of it by the size of the stitches, whereas this one was much bigger. It kind of looks like an X-ray of teeth.
It
So
really
it looks a bit,
does.
yeah. And then this one I tried out here. This was just a resist paste, and I'd never done that before. And I got some rice paste and
Mhm.
mixed it up and just put it onto the fabric and let it dry, and then dyed it. That was quite exciting. And then that top one there, I think, just see this one here.
Mhm. Yep, we can see that.
That one is just done with pegs. So really
Um,
simply just folding it and clipping it with pegs. So, and then I did some more folding techniques. This one here, yep, that one was another resist. So I bought a template from an office supplies, which I just happened to see and thought, oh, that looks interesting, and tried that and just laid it over the fabric and pasted over the paste. And that's what happened. So I was really pleased with that. It looks really technical and kind of very clever, but actually it was so simple and it was an experiment. So that was good. So I've been working on that and then also some natural dye as well. So
mm,
gosh, I could do it all day without doing anything else. So
it really is. It's quite I think with Indigo, you do a little bit and you're like, oh, and it kind of
mm,
opens your
it's
eyes and
complete magic.
yes, it really is. And we should let
Yeah.
people in on a little secret. If you haven't yet dyed with the real indigo, it comes
Mm.
out of the vat like a greeny yellow color, almost
Mm,
like the color
mm,
of the fabric behind you. And then it
mm.
slowly changes blue. So it's
Yes.
magic.
It is magic, and it's just, and if you do it with a few friends, I did run a few Indigo workshops, or maybe 10 years ago now, and if everybody was just getting so excited, and we had a washing line from one end of the garden to the other with
Lovely.
all these pieces, and it was just so spectacular. So,
So
yeah.
beautiful. And so
Mm.
so kind of like aesthetically pleasing because you've got this line and you've got the fabric and it's blowing in the breeze and it's lots of different colors of blue. It's
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And everything looks good, even if it's not very good. It still looks amazing.
I think
Mm.
indigo is good like that. I think it must be a very, what would you say? I was going to say a gentle dye in the sense that it pretty much does make everything look good. Very
The
forgiving.
color is so rich, isn't it? So
Yeah.
I think the color makes such a difference. And the more you dip it, the deeper it gets. So that's kind of really a nice thing, you just keep dipping it in and you can dip it 3 times and it's just like, just look at this color. So, yes.
Mm, exactly. Yes, I know. And I mean, I guess I'm slightly biased because I am a blue girl. So I
Mm. Mm.
yeah, just kind of absorbed and kind of attracted to it anyway. So it's, yes, I just absolutely love it. And I saw as well, it kind of has, I think it got a bit camera shy, but there was a very beautiful cushion that you had sitting on the chair
I
too.
did, yes.
There you
So,
go.
so this is actually the one that's included in the Zen retreat. So, yes, so this is the arch cushion. And that started off when I was in Japan last year. And I was with a friend, and we were both kind of stitching in between doing um, our exploring. And I just had one little square of some fabric that I bought off the market. And I thought, I'm just going to cut this in square and I'm just going to play with it. And I just started stitching it. Had no idea what I was going to do. I thought it might be a pocket. And then I thought, when I got home, I thought, oh, actually, I'm going to make a few more. And I made 9 and turned it into a cushion. And I really like it. It's kind of quite effective. So,
Mm.
yeah, that's
It's
yeah, it's very kind of contrasty. So it kind of it shows well when you've got it on your sofa. It shows up well. So,
And
yes.
actually, that's a good point because one of the reasons why it does look so good is it's got the light thread on the dark fabric,
Yeah.
so it's got a
Yeah.
really nice
Got that.
contrast. Oh, I
Yeah.
love hearing the origin story of how it came to be. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, so how it was just created. So you did the one and you liked that art
Yep.
so
I
much that
did.
you
So I just
thought,
had one like this. So this is I started doing this one later. So I
wow.
just had this one square of dark fabric which I bought off the market, off a flea market in Japan, which was so exciting going to. And then I had like an idea of a shape and I thought, oh, and I love blanket stitch too. So
Mm,
I use blanket stitch a lot in my work and I just thought, oh, I'll just try this.
mm,
And that tends to be how I work. I just experiment and see what happens. And then just kept stitching. And my
yeah.
friend says, "What are you going to make it with it then?" I said, "I don't know yet." And all my friends say this. They go, "Well, what are you making? Well, what's it for?" And I'm going, "I don't know yet." So I let it come to me later. So,
And
mm,
that's a lovely way of what making because I think sometimes we do get really caught up in the what's it going to be. And
yeah,
oh, if we can't use it and it's not good enough to put on an exhibition or do that kind of thing, you kind of dismiss it a little bit. So it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
nice to embrace that kind of just the play and the
Yeah. And
exploratory
it's so
nature.
important because it's where you get your ideas.
Mm.
Like when I did my book and the practice projects that are featured in my book with the plant fiber, I apply the same principle to everything. So I just like to pick something up, whether it's a drawing or some stitching, and I'll just start stitching. So, shall I share another project I've got
Oh, yes,
that
please. I would love
okay.
to see
So
it.
so what I did was I wanted to do some writing with my stitch. So I started this, and this was just a play thing again. And I thought, oh, I'm going to do some writing in some different stitches. So I've got back stitch there, and then back stitch with a thicker thread. Then I've got chain stitch, and then stem stitch. And I
Mm.
thought, I'd like to do some more writing because I haven't done much writing with embroidery. And I had an idea that I would like to make. So I have this indigo tablecloth that I did the other couple of weeks ago. And I thought I'd like to embroider around the bottom of the tablecloth all words about food. So this is in
Oh.
process. So when the tablecloth's on, it will have this edging and they'll all be like little sentences about food. So there's one there. A party without cake is a meeting.
I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah. So there's still lots of little bits and stuff. But yeah, so this is a current project I'm working on. So around all the bottom
Oh,
are
how
words. So
wonderful.
if you're having afternoon tea with a group of people, they'll pick up the tablecloth and read it. So what's this
Mm,
one? What does this say? And yeah, so
mm.
that's kind of where that idea went.
Oh, how much fun. I love that. And what a great conversation piece too to have
Hmm.
as part of a party or a
I think so.
dinner party or afternoon tea, that kind of
Yeah,
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 yeah. And
that was a bit of fun.
yes, absolutely. Are you going to just do the perimeter or do you think you'll start working your way
Uh,
in?
I'll probably just do the perimeter because there it's kind of safe. If people like use napkins, they could read what was on it. So there might be a little message or a text or something that was kind of on there that would be interesting. So
Mm,
yeah, I don't think I'll do the middle because it's so big, and then that means that was something I like that I could do with the edging, and it's taken me probably a couple of weeks in the evenings. But
mm.
if I did the middle as well, it would just take forever, and I tend to get bored, so my projects can't last too long.
That's so true. I was just thinking that too. It's got to be realistic and achievable, doesn't it? Because
Yeah, yeah,
otherwise,
absolutely.
yeah, because
Yep.
as soon as you started describing that, I'm like, yeah, that probably would be one of those projects that
Yeah,
languish.
you've got too many ideas to spend like a year on something.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But the nice thing is, if you decide to, you can always come back to it as well. So
That's
it's
right.
one of
Yep.
those ongoing
Yep.
projects, perhaps.
Yeah, you might put some, I don't know, you might put some flowers or something in the corners above the writing or add something else to it, embellish it a bit more. Yeah.
Mm. I just love that because tablecloths and napkins and that kind of linen that we used to use in our daily lives doesn't really
Mm.
seem to feature so much anymore. And I really like it. There's something special about having that fabric cloth napkins and
Mm. Well,
yeah.
I've been collecting those. So I've been going to thrift shops and buying, if I see them, I buy them.
Mm.
And they're just so beautiful, especially when they're handmade lace and things. And I want to turn them into collars or something. So that's another project. My friends again think I'm a bit nuts. Kind of, what are you going to make with that? I think I'm going to do a collar or a panel. So there's a lot of vintage stuff being made now with those
Mm.
things that just look amazing. If you know what work has gone into them, they can be, very valuable and the stories behind them. So, yes.
Yes, yes, exactly. That's fascinating because I find that if you're working with something that's already had the hand kind of
Mm.
experience with it, other marks made by other people, I find it's easier sometimes to not only connect with them, but then to work with them as opposed to like a blank sheet of paper, for example, or a blank sheet of fabric. You've got
Yes.
that kind of like initial
Yeah.
darting point.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it would be lovely. A lot of them you wouldn't know the stories, but it would be lovely to have the stories, but you could imagine the stories.
Yeah,
So
that's
quite beautiful. Some of them are personal too. They've got people's names, date of birth on them or
oh, do
something.
they?
Mm.
Oh, how special. They really are treasures.
Yeah, they are treasures. Yeah,
Everything
I
that
never had any handed to me from my family. My mother was an embroiderer, but she was an industrial sewer. So I got that given to me. And then my mother-in-law had a few little things, and I had one tablecloth that was my mother-in-law's, no, my father-in-law's mother. That's the only thing I've got. Yeah, so to get things that are personal are really lovely.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Do you find that you do most of your secondhand shopping close by, or you do it when you're touring, like when you're in Japan, for example? Where do you find
Everywhere.
the goodies?
Both.
Yes.
But I tell you what, I do find that the church thrift shops, rather than Salvation Army, or I find they're quite expensive and all the good stuff's gone. But church thrift shops, I want to call them opportunity shops, op shops, are the best. So they've got the most in them and little gems that haven't been taken yet. So
Mm.
I like buying old woolen blankets that are in good condition. When I first started to collect them, I thought, oh, I can't find them. I can't find them because they dye really lovely.
Mm.
And as I've kind of gone to a place, I'll always go into a thrift shop if they're there. And then now I've got this collection. They are great when you're away because they're completely different. So
Yes,
when I go to the UK
exactly.
in a few weeks, I'll be popping in
Oh my
and seeing what's
goodness.
there.
Yes,
Oh, and we're
absolutely.
going to France too. So we're wanting to go to the Brocants, is it Brocants? The
Mm.
flea markets there. So that's something I've never done before.
Oh my goodness,
Mm.
I'm so envious. You'll have to take
Mm,
lots of pictures and send them
mm,
through.
I will.
Yeah, that's
So,
supposed to be a really great place to go and find
mm,
treasures. Mm.
yes, lots of linen. So the town we're staying in was a place where linen was made. So I'm hoping that there'll
Oh,
be some remains of that.
yes, yes.
Mm.
Fingers crossed.
Yes.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm curious too because with the your a collection of these beautiful handmade items, I know I find I have such reverence for them that I find it really difficult to
Mm.
cut them up.
Oh, yes.
So
Yes.
how do you feel about
Almost
that?
impossible. It's very difficult. So
Yeah.
I bought myself a new dressmaker's dummy. So I could actually pin them on. I had an older one which didn't work very well, one that you could just get from the sewing superstore, and it just wasn't right. So I treated myself to one, which was a few $100s, and she's lovely. And I
Oh,
just keep pinning things on her and looking at them and going, oh yes, and so it is hard to cut them up. So I want to. I'll make another shape out of a piece of scrap and then I'll cut it to shape and make sure that that's right before I start cutting up because I would hate the fact that I would waste it. So I'll do a little tester first
yeah.
and then I'll try it out. But
Ah,
I'm hoping to do some videos on that, some YouTube videos on how I do that stuff. So
that'll
I
be
love
fun.
men's shirts. So they're not too difficult to cut up because there's lots of them. I get giant men's shirts and then I cut them up and make them into like a dress. And they're so lovely to wear. If you get the nice cotton rich ones and they're long because they're big, you can make some really nice dresses.
Oh, now you've got my wheels turning. I have a collection of shirts from Mr. Zen in the cupboard, and I have would like to upcycle them, but I haven't quite got the right project. So
Mm.
to
Yeah.
keep an eye on what you're up to and get some
Yeah.
inspiration from you.
Well, my son a while ago had a corporate job in a bank, and I've no idea why he did that because he's a musician and he's now got a proper job in music, which is great. But he had lots of shirts, and he said, "Oh, I don't want these shirts anymore. Do you want them?" And I made him a quilt out of the shirts, and he loves it. And so making a just his shirt, so it wasn't anything else. So it looked really kind of it went together really beautifully.
Oh,
So
lovely.
yeah, small
Yeah.
square and just simple. That worked really well.
How fun. And I think the simplicity works really well with
Mm,
the design
yeah,
like that.
yeah, it
Yeah,
does. I'm
yes.
not into fancy quilt designs. I like it's all about the fabric to me.
And have you got pictures of that? Because that sounds absolutely fascinating.
I don't think I have. I'll have to take some of
Yeah.
his. I've also made a quilt each for my grandchildren. So my granddaughter's got lots of her dresses in hers,
Um,
and I'm just making one for my grandson, but that's much plainer. But he's got a few kind of sporting memorabilia on it of the
mm.
teams that he supports and things.
Oh, how
So
much
yeah.
fun. Yeah, I love it. And I just love how you said your son has now got a proper job in music.
Yes, I know. I know. I
That's
was
great.
always encourage them to do creative work. So
Yeah, yeah. What lights them up? That's
yeah,
such important advice.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a videographer and works making videos on musical instruments and people in their studios So
Mm.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
how fascinating.
yeah.
Yes.
So
You get to see the.
sometimes I get him here to help me, but he's a bit busy at the moment.
Oh, well, that's delightful. It's always fun to hear people who are following their passions and their
Mm.
dreams and doing what brings them joy.
Yes, of course.
Yes, yes. And we've spoken a little bit about your beautiful cushion that you've been working on. And you also touched upon how you love working with natural fibers.
Yes.
And your bonus for the VIP pass is
Mm.
something that combines that passion of
Yeah,
garden
yeah.
and
So
outdoors.
it's a plant hanger. I do have one here. I had to rescue it out of the bathroom this morning.
How nice to be surrounded by the things that you make too.
Yeah, see this. So this
Oh,
is the first.
look.
So it kind of combines some of those skills that you use in basketry, like tying them together, the sticks that you've collected, and then binding the plant in some moss balls, and and then people always say, well, how do you water it? Well, you make sure that this will actually fit in a tub, the size of it, and then you fill the tub with water for a few inches, and then you just soak them once a month,
Oh,
and they
wow.
will. So that's why we use cactuses or succulents.
So
Yeah.
they're very user friendly for even people
Yes.
who aren't.
Yeah, and they look great en masse. So yeah, that was a fun project.
Oh, how delightful. I absolutely love that. That's going to be so much fun.
They keep growing too, so this one's coming right out. So you might have to readjust them if they kind of get a bit too big or something. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that is so much fun. And how do you get the inspiration for all of your things, Ruth? Because you've got the fabrics that you dye, you've got the fabrics that you stitch, you've got the three-dimensional vessels that and
Yeah.
basketry that you make. It's where do you get the inspiration for it all?
Um, it's funny. I heard somebody ask that question to someone else when I was listening to a podcast, and they just said, "It's just there." It's just every day. It's kind of like, oh, oh, and these little things just keep coming in your head, and there's just so much stuff you just have to I write it down. So
Mm.
I put things in my notes. I have various different journals that I fill in different topics. Probably got about 5 journals at the moment.
Oh,
So they're
lovely.
all different topics. And if I'm working on a project and more ideas come for that particular topic, and the more you do, there's a great quote, um, inspiration comes during work, not before it. And I think that is so true. So the more you work, the more ideas you get, and that's what I find happens.
Mm.
So there's no shortage of ideas. You kind of wish you could turn it off at times.
I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who are like, I'll have some.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, please some creativity over this way.
Yeah. Well, I think when I do my courses too, I share a lot of that. So I kind of think I don't need to keep this a secret. I just need to let other people, explore it and stuff. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But it's just, if you go to an exhibition, a gallery exhibition at your local national gallery or big gallery, there's always stuff there, and there's different mediums that are being worked in. So it's not necessarily the same medium, and you kind of go, oh, I could do that in what I'm doing. So I just visited an exhibition in Adelaide called Radical Textiles. And I find that the South Australian Gallery is amazing. They have really good curators. Their work is, I find it better than the National Gallery in Canberra.
Mm.
There must be something about the people work there because they do a lot of exhibitions that are female dominated, and how they produce them just so interesting. So the exhibition I went to was about textiles, but it just covered such a range. It had very local people from South Australia, and then it had really famous people from the States and from the UK. It was a very high quality. So to go to any of those exhibitions, you cannot fail to get some inspiration. So
Mm.
and then biennales or triennales at various galleries are also really good to get inspiration from. So I try and go to those things. And there's one that happens in Brisbane every 3 years, a Triennale. And what I find with that is it's called the Oceania Triennale, and it has a lot of Asian art. And
Right.
it's completely different to Western art. And you look at it and go, oh my goodness, look at that and look at that. Very different. So that's a really good one to go to. So looking for something that's kind of quite different. And then you get these ideas from completely left field.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's just a little bit of how I might get my inspiration.
Oh my goodness, that's a wealth of sharing there and inspiration for people who are looking for inspiration.
Hmm.
I think that, like you say, the key is through making. Get
Yep.
get your fingers dirty or start feeling and
Yep.
playing and working with things through the work, the inspiration
Yes.
arrives, which I think is wonderful because I know quite often I have a tendency to come up with an idea and then I'll think it through and I'll think it through some more. And then by the time I finish thinking about it, it doesn't get
Yeah.
made. And
Yeah.
through that process, it's such a loss because the moment my fingers engage with fabric or pen or whatever it is, things start coming together in ways that you couldn't preempt. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's gold when that happens.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That definitely happens with me. I remember seeing a cushion when I was away last year, and I just fell in love with this cushion. And then I started to embroider on wool, on a wool blanket. And then what I turned up with was completely different. And I made like 6 different cushions. It was just like, I have to do this. Right, I'll do this one next, and I'll do that one. And then I did this one, So it was like that whole process it's just gold. Mm.
It really is the touch and the engagement with the materials. But I think your suggestion of going and seeing
Mm.
exhibitions and seeing things that maybe you don't wouldn't be what you would usually gravitate towards too,
Mm.
because that's where some of the interesting things I like what you're talking about with the Asian art and just seeing a completely different style of
Yeah.
working and technique,
Yeah.
maybe, and
And
how.
it's contemporary as well. You might think, oh,
Mm.
it's just like traditional Asian art, but it is contemporary Asian art is just incredible. You just look at it and you kind of go, where do they get that idea from? So they're coming from a completely different background and perspective. So they come up with completely different work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know, it's phenomenal. I have a high regard for Korean jewelers. I was doing
Right.
jewelry making a couple of years ago, and the things that I was seeing coming out of Korea were just
Oh,
amazing, so avant-garde and really pushing
yeah.
the boundary of what jewelry was and the materials you'd use to make the jewelry. And so it was just like, it really was mind-opening.
Wow. Yes.
Mm,
Yes. And even
mm.
with so I saw a little reel last night, and they were talking about Japanese clothing design and how it's made and how to make it. And I've got a few Japanese pattern making books. They're like sculptures. It's like wearing sculptures. One of them's got like blocks on, like squares that stick out. It's all made with fabric, and it's like
Yeah.
I could make that. So it looks so complicated, so technical, and they're just so amazing. Just their clothing design. How
Mm.
they make their clothes. It's just so different.
Yeah, yeah, it's fabulous. And I think sometimes that's where travel is also really helpful too, because we're in a different environment, you see different
Yes.
things, and it helps you look at things differently, even what we see in our day-to-day environment. You see it from a fresh perspective.
Yes, definitely,
That kind of
definitely.
thing as well.
Broadens the mind in more ways than one.
Oh, I know, it's absolutely amazing. We learn so much about ourselves and others through travel, I
Yeah,
think. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. My my goodness, all these good things. Well, Ruth, I could chat with you all day about all things creative because we've really only just touched the surface of all of these great things. I do know that you've got lots of fun things in the pipeline. One of the things that you were mentioning earlier was you've been getting lots of questions on your book writing process.
I have, yes, which was something unexpected.
Yes, and so you've decided that you're going to share that process?
We're going to make a webinar and possibly turn it into a short course. And people were just asking me the same questions. And I just thought, oh, could this be something I could share? And so I jotted down, I spoke to a few people about what they would like, and we've started to put something really good together, I think. I think it could be good to share.
Yeah. Oh, I'm very
It's about
excited.
the process of writing as a self-published book and how I did it. Yes.
Yeah, well, it is. It's quite a process, and it's kind of, what would you say, not the usual path of writing a book where you work with a publisher and all that kind of stuff. So there's different.
Not at all. It is different, but I think if you're really, what's the word? Not clever, but if you're really think about it carefully, you could actually make more money than through the traditional route because the traditional route is very poorly paid and it's really about kudos rather than it fitting into your business plan. So I think I didn't realize that. And only recently was I asked to think about writing a book for a publisher. And so I was interviewed by them. And then I thought, oh my goodness, I won't get anything for writing this book. And it would take me a year. And it was very low remuneration for the
Mm,
work done. It was very interesting.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it would have been a labor of love as opposed
Yeah.
to,
I don't think I'd have time to do it.
yeah, yeah. Would you also say that perhaps your way of self-publishing brings you perhaps a little bit more joy because you're working with every part of the process?
I think it brings you a lot more knowledge. I mean, it's obviously more hard work, but with the traditional process, you still had all that hard work. And basically, for the self-publishing one, what I had to do was organize the graphic artist and the promotion at the end. So there's those two bits at the beginning and the end, which are really important. Um, and then, yeah, it brings you so much more satisfaction. And then if you sell it as well, it brings you even more. So
Absolutely. Well, you were saying that the book that you've written has been around now for 2.5 years, which is
yes.
amazing.
Yes, yeah, and
Yeah.
I've sold thousands, so it's great to get that royalty. So I get royalties from two avenues, and like goes into my account every month, and I think, oh, that's such a nice bonus. And then also the money from retail and wholesale, so it's still ticking over nicely.
Yeah, it's lovely. And you were saying a moment ago that, galleries around Australia are reaching out to stock them in their bookstores, which is a lovely place for people to meet you if they haven't yet discovered you.
Yes, yes, that's right. Yeah. And I know that the self-publishing publisher has a wholesale um, section that people from shops all around the world can buy from them. So I don't have to deal with that at all. And so I know that it is in shops and some galleries around the world, which is like very exciting.
Totally. It's so lovely. Well, I know when I like to go and visit galleries, the gift store of a gallery is always just as fun to visit as the
Yeah.
exhibition itself, and you discover so many delightful things. So, how wonderful that you can be involved in so many stores like that.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, it's very exciting because it's kind of sky's the limit, it's not contained. It's like, oh, it's accessible globally now. So that's great.
And it's really lovely that you're sharing that knowledge too, because I'm sure it took you quite a lot of time to do the research, figure out what worked, what didn't, and all that kind of thing too.
It was, I had a couple of ladies that helped me at the beginning. One lady just, I knew she'd done a self-published book. I knew it was quite successful, and I just emailed her and said, asked her a couple of questions, and she wrote me a 3-page email. And
Oh,
it's like, oh my goodness. So that was gold to start with. That was really helpful. And she was going down the traditional route, and then they were just totally in control. And she thought, no, I don't want it like that. And she withdrew and then self-published. And I think she's published about 10 books now.
oh wow. How lovely. How
Mm.
delightful. I know a book is such a lovely thing because it's a great way of kind of like consolidating what you're working on. And
Mm.
you can share that and inspire it with others. And it also kind of has a life of its own. So, 10
Yeah.
years from now, someone will pick up your book and be inspired to make baskets from the garden and
Mm.
all of those wonderful things that the book contains.
Yes. Yeah. There weren't many books that were around that topic when I first brought it out. There's a couple more now, and it's nice to see. So a bit more of a contemporary angle on that topic,
Yes.
which
Yes.
we did. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. And what's delightful about your book is it kind of touches upon two very interesting components. One is the how to make the
Mm.
sculptural objects, but you've also got the how to grow or how to find or how to forage and find all of the natural materials as well, which I think is really great because a lot of
Yeah.
people like to be able to work with what's within their environment and use.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I tried to use plants that were available worldwide. So some of them are Australian, but the majority of them are available in the Northern Hemisphere as well as the Southern Hemisphere. So I wanted it to appeal to a broad audience from that aspect too. And then at the beginning of the book is also me showcasing the artists. So
yeah.
there's all the artists' work as well. So it's not just about me, it's about kind of this is how other people have used their fibers.
Yeah, and that's really wonderful too, because you've also got that inspiration to see how other people are creating and taking the techniques. And some, I think from memory, take the techniques, but maybe work in maybe more unusual materials like found
Mm.
plastics, I think from memory.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. There was one lady working with wire, like plastic coated wire, one lady working with just wire, baling twine, that blue baling twine that's wrapped around hay bales and stuff. Yeah, some very unusual ones too.
Yeah, it's great. And so I guess that's another opportunity for people if they're looking for some inspiration, they should have a look through your book. It's just so lovely. And it's a really good starting point, isn't it? Because once you
It is.
the technique and you start playing, then you can start working through your own ideas as well.
Yeah, and I talk about that too, like the practice project thing, which I did on Zen a couple of years ago, and just playing, just giving yourself permission to play and see what things do.
Such good sentiment. And I think we're going to wrap up on that. We can um, contemplate the permission to play. I think
Yes.
that's so important. So often we don't give ourselves the time or the permission to play. And you know what? Just before we wrap up, because my husband is a musician as well, and he was saying that how interesting it is that as a musician you play music. You don't
Yeah.
work music, it's play.
Right.
And isn't
Yes.
it lovely? I never really
Yes.
thought about that.
No, I hadn't thought about that either.
Yeah, yeah. So you play
Yeah.
music, and because I know when I went to art school, I'd say to my colleagues, "I'm off to play in the studio," and they'd be like, "We don't play, we work." And I'm like, "Oh." I'd much rather play, thanks.
Right. Get much better results when you play.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have more fun. It's more enjoyable. And I think if you're trying to be serious, I kind of think I don't know, psych yourself out is probably the way I'd describe it.
Yeah, I think so. And if you read about that topic, about art and fear and or trying to get rid of your artist blocks and things, it's what they talk about. You've just got to play. You've got to release yourself from those, shackles of being having to do it. You've got to just sit and play.
Yes.
Yeah,
Let's play.
let's play.
Thank you for joining me in this creative journey. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And if you'd like to learn more about Making Zen, please check out the links below where you can find out all about the workshops and creativity, community, and all that kind of good stuff. Wishing you many happy hours of stitching.